Welcome to another episode of the Arseholics. Thank you for joining us on Myers. Hope you guys are doing well. Nero, Raj, Aaronen, how's it going, boys?
Good. I just realized I think we probably should have changed our shirts or something and created an illusion that we recorded these on different days.
No, we just
good. It was a good. I'm still pumped from yesterday's result against.
We haven't slept. We've just stayed here in position.
We're good. We're good, Mice. We're good.
Just carry on.
Yeah.
Mate. Yeah.
Nice one. Right. Okay. So off the back of our win against Benfica, we now return to Premier League action. Sunday midday, I think it is. We play Leicester away. So yeah, in terms of what we're expecting for the lineup, I would have thought have some There's going to be some rotation from the team that started against Benfica. Aaron, any thoughts or predictions as to what you think the team might look like?
I keep thinking this is the day Saka is going to get a rest because the poor kid's been, playing every minute of every game all the time. So maybe this is the game we give him a rest. Although I guess we've got a week off until the next game, so maybe we can just give him that time instead. But yeah, I think Partey will come back into the squad. Hopefully, came off the bench. We'll probably rotate the centre backs a bit again. I think Holding. I think we'll be allowed to play again after the concussion leave of absence. I'm not sure how long he needs off.
Just under a week. I think it's a week, so I don't know how they're going to... Well, it'll be... Yeah, I'm not sure. Hopefully he will be back.
But apart from that, potentially he might give Cedric a go at right back. But I can't see much changing apart from that.
So do you guys think that the selection will be primarily done on rotation versus tactics, if that makes sense?
I think it'll be a bit of both.
Okay.
To be honest, yeah. I can't see us playing Saka every game, but maybe again because we've got the week off in between, we might just get away with it.
And the game after Leicester, is it Burnley? Is that right? Is it Burnley after Leicester?
I think it is, mate.
Sorry,
I think it is. No, I think it is.
Yeah.
We should have researched that before. No, I think
I had it in my head. Yeah. So
yeah, Burnley away,
Burnley. I mean, I think it's more likely that Saka, if he's going to be rested again in any game, assuming Burnley is right before the next Europa League tie, it's going to be that game. Considering how strong Leicester are.
Yeah.
He may get rested as well just because of the short time frame between this game and that game. It's just even more reason to just rest anyone who has been playing a lot of minutes, right? Because I mean, look, in fairness, it's not particularly unkind to us because it's arguably even more unkind to Leicester, who had to play an evening game today, right? So they've had a few hours worse off than we are. But look, I think also because Leicester are just a weird team to prepare against because they're not really a team that dominate possession that much anyway. Like, I don't think that they would want necessarily to, in terms of Arteta, I don't think he'd necessarily want to set us up in a way where he thinks that Leicester are going to just be able to counter against us. I think he's going to want us to play in a certain way where, we can take control, but we can stop their counters. So it's just going to be... It's going to be quite interesting how he plays this when he thinks tactics versus fitness. I think overall our biggest game of the season is still the game afterwards now, the knockout game of the Europa. I think what the Europa games for me are going to continue being the biggest games of the season. So I personally think, he should probably rest above tactics.
Yeah. Do you reckon he's sort of given up, especially after the result against Benfica? Do you think he's sort of giving up on the league then? In terms of was giving up on top four ambition, for example.
I was going to say, sorry, Raj. I was just going to say. I mean, I don't think you can say I think we talked about this in the first episode as well. No, I don't think he's necessarily given up on the league. I'm sure he'll want to finish as high as possible, but as we progress further and further in the Europa League, hopefully, those games take on even more importance. We're still only in the round of 16, so I do agree with Raj. It's our priority for the season, but I think it's still a case of you've got to take it game by game and manage the players on that basis. as if we get into the quarterfinals and semi-finals, then yeah, of course, I would expect to see a lot more rotation for the league games. But I think at this stage, you still want to try and finish as high as possible. I mean, there's still a chance. Champions League looks really, really hard, but Champions League places, sorry, but the Europa League places, although there's a lot of teams in and around that from, well, all the way down from sort of third or fourth down to where we are, there's still a possibility for us to finish in those places. So I think these league games coming up are still really, really important.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because you look at Leicester's team that they put out in the Europa League, they rested players, right? So they are at least quite clearly now focusing on that Champions League race. I don't think they're seriously thinking about the title or anything. I think the title's done and dusted, but their level of points with United in third, and top four is very much on for them. And part of me kind of hopes they get it, because I really do like Leicester as a team. And I'd much rather see Leicester in the Champions League than any of the other kind of scummy teams around them. But let's
very nice.
Yeah, let's let's see how it goes. But yeah, Leicester are all in on this anyway, so they'll have some players rested. Barnes, who's been in phenomenal form, was rested. Castagna was rested. So yeah, it should be interesting.
But a lot of that teams above us now with Leicester as well. So it's Leicester, Everton, Villa. They're all West Ham as well. Like they don't have the distraction of European football now, whereas all the others we do. So they can actually, or for them, all their eggs are in that Premier League basket now, and they're going to be going for it 100%. So it'll be like teams like us that will be sort of having to rotate, and then we might sort of drop a few places as a result. So we're definitely sacrificing positions in the table.
I mean, and we talk. I was going to say, we talk about resting, but it's quite interesting because I feel like I think we've pretty much got a fully fit squad now. And if you look at our options, especially going forward, they're actually really, really good. Like we haven't really seen Martinelli much in the last few weeks. Pepe was doing really, really well when he was in the team on the left-hand side, and now he's been taken out, so he's fresh. Lacazette, quite similar. He was doing pretty well. When
Eddie's gone.
Eddie, from the last time Eddie played.
So there's obviously quite a few options for Arteta to think about. And I think, I don't think it's a case of, I mean, Saka's probably the one where if you rest Saka, the team automatically becomes weaker just because of how good he is and how much he's delivering at the moment. And probably Aubameyang now, like, he obviously scored another couple of goals against Benfica. But I think there's some really, really good options where, if we saw a front three or front four of, say, Lacazette down the middle, Pepe on the left, or let's just say Pepe, Martinelli wide, whichever side, and say Odegaard behind or ESR behind. It's not bad front four at all. So I think from that perspective, it gives Arteta some really good options and some flexibility there in terms of rotation as opposed to resting.
I think the problem is not necessarily the quality. Sometimes it's like we don't have enough good habits as a unit. We don't have enough consistency as a unit, I think, in terms of getting results and continuously putting in kind of like well strung and orchestrated performances. That's my bigger concern, that whenever we seem to rest players and move players and switch them around, it doesn't really help that effort of kind of creating that momentum. And I'm just not sure we're there yet. So I completely agree with you in the sense that Martinelli, he was effectively how we look at Saka now. We were looking at Martinelli in that way towards the back end of last season, right? And that's such a great talent. And like you say, Pepe's doing so well, like for a little period of time before. I worry a little bit though, just about our ability to just kind of string good performances together when we're changing those components.
What about Partey? You reckon he'll come straight back into the starting lineup against Leicester? Or you reckon?
I think he has to.
His fitness.
I think he has to.
Do you not think they'll be a bit cautious with him? I mean, he looked fine today for the time he came on, and it wasn't like we were cruising when we brought him on. We very much brought him on in a time of need. But do you not think, with what happened when he almost got thrown back in against Spurs, previously in the season, and obviously he's been out for so long. They might be a little bit cautious with him, kind of what they might do with Martinelli as well, to a certain extent.
I think
didn't
now,
play today.
Martinelli. I think because it's now like it's not a priority game now. Like I can imagine him not risking it. I don't think it's worth. Like I said, there's no point bringing him back early and then him getting injured for another 3 weeks. It's not worth it now, given what we're targeting this season.
Yeah, I think the reality is we don't really know enough about the injury situation with Partey and how fit he is. But look, I think we're all just so scared and so burned from that time where we rushed him back, which was clearly the wrong decision. It doesn't really happen any other time that I'd like to think we've managed him back properly. And if he's fit, he'll play. Yeah. If not, maybe we will, but it's that common sense should prevail there. And if he's not fit, he shouldn't play.
So I there's a guy on Twitter that you guys, I don't know if you guys follow it. I was just literally searching my phone so I get his name right. Dr. Rajpal Brar. He at 3CB Performance. It's a really good Twitter account. If anyone, I recommend it. He is a doctor who seems to specialize in sports injuries, and he gives a really lot of great insight on Arsenal. He's an Arsenal fan, and it was really interesting because he put a little video on YouTube where he tried to explain this, and he sort of said, actually, when you look at how Arteta has treated a lot of our players in terms of their injury rehabilitation, he actually seems to be a manager who is more on the conservative side normally in the way that he manages injuries. But the one exception has been how we dealt with Martinelli. And he sort of mapped it, and he sort of said, you know, he was sort of due to come back to full training in December, but he actually ended up coming back to full training in November. He then played in the under-23s, but only a half of the under-23s, and then immediately went into the first team straight after that. And then he played, I think, a couple of games in the first team. And then before one of the games, he got injured in the warm-up. But the type of injury that he sustained in the warm-up is a typical type of injury that occurs when you effectively haven't allowed something to heal properly. And although it wasn't a big injury at all, what he thinks is that he gets the impression that Arteta saw that happening and has decided to course correct and is going to be incredibly more cautious with him now going forward. And it's almost confirmed to Arteta that the approach that he is generally taking is the right one. So I think that based on that, I guess where I'm going with based on that is with Partey, I feel like if Arteta is going to start playing him now, it will be because he is really comfortable with his fitness and he won't rush him back. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think really interesting.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, really interesting story there. I prefer that actually, just to be on the conservative side. I think that's definitely better, especially with our injury record.
Yeah, I mean, Partey is the kind of player that we've clearly missed this season, right? Like he was our big summer sign, one of our big summer signs, probably our big summer signing, and it just feels like we haven't seen him. And every time we have seen him, we've just raved about him, how much he improves the team, how much he improves the midfield. And it would just be an absolute nightmare, really, if he gets risked in a game like on Sunday and then ends up being out for another few weeks or even for the rest of the season. And we're gonna need him in this run if we really want to push for the Europa League. Like we were saying, we didn't really convince against Benfica. We're probably the stronger team, but we didn't convince. And there's obviously, it's going to get harder as we progress through the tournament. There are still some good teams in there, so definitely want to keep Partey fit for the rest of the season. So I was just looking at the league table. So we sit in 11th now after Leeds played their game or games in hand. So 34 points in 11th. Leicester sit on 49, so way ahead of us. So I guess we're now looking at the likes of Leeds and Spurs, Villa, Everton in the next few places above us. I'll take your predictions then, guys, for the Leicester game. Nero, how do you think we're going to fare?
Not too great, to be honest. I'd say probably lose 1-0. We'll lose 1-0. Okay. Again, we'll have a lot of ball, have a lot of possession, but I think they'll probably sting us on the counter-attack. Vardy goal. Can see that happening.
Yeah, you can see that happening, can't you?
He always scores against us, Maddison's out injured as well. Sorry, I've just seen that, which I didn't realise until just now, which is quite a big miss for them. Key player for them. Yeah. Okay, so 1-0 defeat from Nero. Aaronen?
I it very much depends on how Leicester do without Maddison pulling some of the strings. If he's fit, then I think we'll probably struggle because their midfield potentially will be a bit too much for us. But yeah, I never want to predict us losing, so I'll go for a 0-0.
0-0. Okay. Raj?
Do you know what? Okay, I was going to say a draw. I was going to say 1-1, but I'm going to go for an Arsenal win. And I think there's something about our win just now that's going to lift us. Right. And there's obviously, as much as, maybe Leicester do want to focus on the league and not the European competition, which they just got knocked out of, I think they probably will be a little bit disappointed. And I'm hoping that can carry through. I also think, Nero, when you said you think there's a possibility of us finishing the top 4, and even if that is the case, or even if it's top 6, in a way, I was thinking about this because even though our fixtures are really tough from now at the end of the season, at least we're playing a lot of those teams who are above us. And in theory, therefore, if we get results, they're 6-pointers. So a lot of these are, and maybe that's how Arteta can motivate the players. And they can say, these are really hard fixtures. But if you win them, they're 6-pointers. They're pretty much all 6 points, like repeated 6-pointers.
That's half the league there, right?
Yeah, it's true. There you go. Well, it's true, then, isn't it? So maybe and that's what to motivate them, maybe. And I think a win against Leicester, if we won against Leicester, and I think it would be a good payback for what happened at the Emirates when that was just, for me, just such a tough result. Still, no, exactly. Score a perfectly legitimate goal in the first couple of minutes, and then just smash and grab at the end. But anyway, not bitter. I think that
well, Leicester would want to bounce back after this defeat as well, right? It's like I said, if they're hurt from getting knocked out of Europe, if they wanted it in the first place, then they'd come out firing, won't they? So it's
the worry is that obviously, we touched on this before, they're prioritizing the league, right? So they want top 4. They're sitting in 3rd now, but they want top 4. So I can see it being a hard game. So Raj, what was your prediction? Sorry,
I'm going to go Arsenal to win 2-1.
2-1. Okay. I was actually going to say the same. I think we might actually get a win. And I think the main thing for me, looking at it just specifically from an Arsenal perspective, is the last few games, or take the City game out of it, but the last few games since Aubameyang's come back, he's obviously scoring goals again, but he's getting in the positions to score goals. Like, he's obviously getting chances created for him. A lot of that is down to what Saka's doing and how well he's performing. And that's why I don't think he's going to rest Saka personally. I think Saka's going to start again. But I think I really can see Aubameyang now going on a really good purple patch of form from now until hopefully the end of the season, which would obviously just be massive for us. And I think that's just going to carry on Sunday. And I think we might actually do quite well. So I'm going to go 2-1 as well, and a bit of a surprise result, I think.
Let's hope we're right, mate.
Boys are right.
We've got a few different predictions in there, so it will be interesting to see what happens.
Win, loss, and a draw in there.
Yeah.
I'm just, you know what, man? Like, I'm just thinking back to our game at the Emirates, and I did feel that tactically we were a good match for them. I think whatever it is that Leicester are good at doing, I still think that we were better, and we were so unlucky to lose. I remember, was it this season or last season that we beat them in the FA Cup? Was that last season? Did we beat them in the Cup? Or was it this season at the beginning? Like, it might be. Well,
was it the League Cup?
It might have been.
It might have been League Cup,
and
I think we won. I think
that was this season. Yeah. Okay. I'll check.
And I think
it's been a very long season. So
it has been a long season. But I remember again with that game, I remember feeling tactically, I felt that we sort of were a good fit to play against them. So let's see. Like, I do think they are an extraordinarily talented side in terms of what Rodgers has done there. I think is brilliant, and they've got so many good behaviors in that team. It was really interesting actually, because I was thinking the other day, obviously we rate Saka so highly, and rightly so, because I think he's quality. There was this really interesting thing the other day where they showed about how, all the goals and assists of all the kind of young generation of English players at the moment. And Harvey Barnes is his numbers are better than Saka's numbers, and he's properly flying. And this is before, actually, I think the other day where he scored a couple, right, or whatever. And even Madders is, his numbers have been pretty good. He's not that old. So they've just got so much talent, haven't they? So it's going to be a tough game, but this is the game. I think we're a good side. Like the table has, we need the table to reflect how good we are right now. And I think that we are a good side when we get things right, and we just need to get things right more consistently. And what better time to do it after we've just come off a victory like this, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
fair. No, I do agree. I think if it was Arsenal full strength team versus Leicester full strength team, then I think I would be, agreeing with you there. I think then, I think we could. I think we've got better players and we can beat them. But I think Leicester, like I said, will be full strength going for it. We'll be rotating, have a half strength team out. So that's why I feel the balance will be tipped more towards their side. But I totally agree. If it was full strength versus full strength, then I would fancy us.
Yeah, and also the travel factor. Like we're probably flying back from Greece. I don't know. Flying to Greece is like 3.5 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah. By the time we get back, it'll be early hours Friday morning.
Where's Leicester playing?
Leicester played at home today, so
Played at home.
their job done, probably in bed.
Oh, so how come Leicester didn't have to go and play their game abroad?
It depends on the country, right? It depends on the restrictions. So because there's restrictions between us and between England and Portugal, the players couldn't come here and we couldn't go there or whatever. So so
fine. So that's going to play a huge factor as well. Then
I think any other week it'd be a much closer thing, but just that post Europa away. Well, it was it was an away game. This one, was it an away game? Today was a home game. Wasn't
it was a home game, but
sorry, post Europa home game. It's just
so even the players who didn't play, they still travelled with the squad.
Exactly.
So they're still going to be tired.
We take 12 subs and we pretty much take the whole squad.
I mean, this is an interesting thing, isn't it? Because when you guys talk about travel, right? I mean, they're not traveling halfway across the world. It's like 3 hours probably. And I don't know.
Flying, I'm assuming it's 4 hour flight, right? They still take.
But mate, they're not on like Ryanair, where they don't have to quew, turn up like 3 hours before. Whatever.
Mate, it's Arsenal Football Club, mate. Arsenal Football Club probably is on Ryanair. So.
I mean, I think I get it. It is something to consider, but I don't think it's if you're a professional footballer, I don't know, it's part and parcel of what you do every season, every week, whatever. And I think the club are going to make it as comfortable and easy as possible. And it's not like, I just don't think it's a massive an issue as we make it out to be. I mean, it's what they get paid all that money.
I think probably also helps. It was a slightly earlier kickoff, so we'll
that's
probably get back a little bit earlier. The players will probably be hopefully tucked in bed by around 1-ish, 2 a.m. maybe.
Yeah.
Might have a bit of a lie-in, hopefully it's okay. But I kind of agree with Miles. Like I think sometimes we make a bit too much out of it. I do think I think that when you lose and you have to travel, there's probably all of that doesn't help
mentally.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, well, it should be an interesting game. It's going to be a very, very tough game. So be interested to see what the team lineup is, as we've said. Really interested to see how Arteta prioritises this one. Okay, guys, we'll be back with a review of the Leicester game on Sunday evening. So until then, thank you again for tuning in. If you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe and
like,
comment,
and share,
and all of that good stuff. Yeah, brilliant. All right, guys.
Can someone also, if anyone is listening, can you tell us how we put a subscribe button on the screen? Anyone who could give us any ideas?
We'll have to hope one of our 6 viewers knows how to do that.
Given most of those 6 are like one of our parents.
I wouldn't hold much hope on that
one. All right, guys. Nice one. We'll speak on Sunday. Thanks very much, guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks, guys.